I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue.
Welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, powered by Jack's Angels, where we talk about your experiences, advocacy news, research, and today's heroes for kids. We are here to bring hope to the unthinkable but real experience of a child diagnosed with cancer. Jack's Angels advocacy mission is to provide a voice for children with cancer to effect change for a more hopeful future for those to come. Childhood Cancer Talk Radio starts right now. Here is your host, Janet Demeter.
Hey, welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, everyone. I'm Janet Demeter, your host of today's show on TogiNet.com, and we're here on the air for a very important reason. We are truly at a pivotal time with regard to childhood cancer awareness. And if you're not a regular listener, just by the name of our focus and our show, you can tell it's probably not an extremely popular issue in our society today, of course, because no one wants to think about it necessarily if they don't have to, children with cancer. Why? It's sad. Children, our most vulnerable and treasured citizens and loved ones, often have no certain solutions for them medically for their survival should they be afflicted with cancer. Childhood disease is considered rare for the most part, and for smaller populations, our medical research system can be very slow to accommodate them, as saving lives in this instance is not always the priority. Medical research in the United States follows an economic system dominated, of course, by large corporations and their interests. And so in many cases, parents will hear that when their child is diagnosed, there are no solutions or few for them and scant research activity because, quote, no one will invest in the research, or the investment isn't practical for pharmaceutical companies, or even worse, some directly hear, and I'm speaking for myself, coming by it honestly, the numbers aren't great enough for investors. So you would think that where for-profit industry falls short, the government would step in and our biggest cancer charities would take over. However, less than 4% of the national budget for cancer research in the United States benefits pediatric cancer as a singular designation. Of course, you know, there's a variety of them. And an even smaller percentage of the American Cancer Society budget, which uses children frequently in its campaigns to solicit donations, benefits pediatric cancer research. For years, the childhood cancer community of parents and advocates, researchers, caregivers has been growing in strength and numbers, so that now we are really in a greater position to affect change as we work together. And both of our distinguished guests today, who will be introduced momentarily, are powerful advocates for children with cancer and are each leaders in their own way of this movement, especially as we move into this year 2017, which I like to call the year of miracles. And, you know, just briefly, I want to say that although I know, you know, the National Cancer Institute is one of the greatest funders of pediatric cancer research, and American Cancer Society's contributions are significant compared, of course, to others. I also have to say, you know, many children now survive leukemia, of course, due to the great amount of research which for adults, which has trickled down to them, so to speak, the difference being that pediatric cancers are not always the same, and very few treatments have been developed specifically for children over the past 30 years. Only 3 medicines have been developed for pediatric cancer in all that time, and many children have had to make do with modified adult treatment protocols. And if they survive, they can suffer many life-endangering side effects. It's small parent-initiated organizations and grassroots awareness movements that come together and fund a lot of the research for some of the deadliest pediatric cancers. They are the ones really making a difference for kids today. And it's through partnerships of these organizations with our National Cancer Institute and American Cancer Society, with organizations like MaxCure, which is featured today, like the DIPG Collaborative, like Alex's Lemonade Stand, and Chad Tuff in Michigan, Smashing Walnuts in Virginia, that we're beginning to experience a greater hope for children affected by those cancers for which we have seen no solutions in literally decades, people. So, I want to start with talking about the MaxCure Foundation. They're excited to announce that beginning January 17, here we are, The Run for the White House for Childhood Cancer Awareness will now be implemented as a program of the foundation. The Run for the White House was inspired by kids and founded by Brian Jones of Salem, Oregon in 2013 when he began running for his son and all kids in the fight of their lives. Through his efforts in creating greater awareness of childhood cancer by engaging people in a grassroots campaign to run for the White House, hundreds of participants have, quote, donated their running miles. So this past year alone, over 1 million miles were donated in connection with the Run for the White House social media campaign on Facebook and Instagram. Teaming up with MaxCure Foundation, the Run for the White House program now provides the opportunity to create transformative impact upon the lives of children diagnosed with cancer every day. And I'm so happy to introduce to you now, all our listeners, Brian Jones. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Janet.
How are you?
I'm great. And it's good to be on with you again.
I know. I was so excited to hear that this program is going to be part of MaxCure now. And I just, on a side note to our listeners, Brian was on, we had a kind of a powwow runner's circle roundtable on one of our episodes early in the year. I was on the road and had audio problems. But other than that, it was great to have you on, and now it's great to have you featured here with your program.
Oh boy, there's so much that is going to happen this year. I believe it. And it's just at the right time too, I think. I mean, with all the other political turmoil and everything, I think we're in a good position to just really say, here we are and we're ready to go for these kids.
I love it. I love it. It is time. I feel like 2017 is the year of miracles.
That's a great way to say it, yes.
So where do we start, Brian? Tell us about the program, a little bit about how it developed and the current state of childhood cancer research funded at the government level, your whole raison d'etre, shall we say.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we keep preaching is that the government is really slacking on helping our kids out, and they've got billions of dollars, and we're getting a small percentage for the research for our pediatrics, and it's coming from everywhere now. Everyone's got that message finally in their head, and they're preaching as loud and clear at every angle that we need more than 4.
Yes.
And so we're with them, and we're pointing at the government as we're going to the White House and saying more than 4, more than 4. And we've been there. We've been down D.C. protesting more than 4. And it's happening. We're on the verge of just making that message explode in Washington D.C. and around the world.
Well, you're really part of this. There's been this huge growth in social media, of course, with its advent, really even just in the last 5 or 6 years. Childhood cancer has been an extremely isolating experience, and you've been part of this movement with your platform, with the Run for the White House, to help people raise awareness, get engaged, get involved, get fit, and help people at the same time. Tell us a little how it started.
Mostly started when, like you said, on the advent of social media, back in 2008 or 2009, I don't know, maybe that's when I first started on Facebook. I was like, I'm going to figure this thing out. It looks like a powerful tool to get the message out. And then, later on, when my son was diagnosed in 2011, our world was turned upside down. We became aware of the devastation that was happening around the world with these kids. And I said, I know it's my kid, and I could, say that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life is take care of my kid. But there was something more in me that said I can do more if I have the right tools to do it. And I decided social media was the avenue that I was going to take to help all kids as much everywhere as possible by raising awareness.
Awesome. So what year was that again that you started it?
2013 is officially when I started the Run for the White House, but
right.
The year before I was helping with the True 365 film, trying to get that promoted. And that's really even what inspired me was, hey, there's this movement taking place. How can I even empower that, and be a part of that? And so that's kind of where our grassroots movement of Run for the White House grew from too.
Well, love that, because, I learn things all the time in this show, because the movement's really just kind of exploding now. People have been working on it, right, for years. for so long, and now it's like it's a little exponential kind of growth and awareness. It brings so much hope, and especially this program that you're doing. I mean, I'll let our listeners know I've participated in it when I can the last couple of years, and it's helped me meet people, and it brings people together at CureFest, which is a yearly. If you could just tell us a little bit about that. We're going to have to take a break in a minute. Okay. But how about when we come back, let's talk about the last CureFest, the last two that we've met, and what changes you've seen, since that time in attitudes and how people are feeling about it.
Can't wait to tell you that. Can't wait to tell you more about that.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Right now, you're listening to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure on TogiNet.com, brought to you in part by Jack's Angels Foundation. We'll be right back with our guests from MaxCure and Run for the White House after these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
Congratulations on being the proud owner of an adorable, soft, cuddly, sweet-smelling, smiling, cooing, hungry, tired, gassy, screaming little bundle of joy. So now what? Where's the owner's manual for this thing? Where are my instructions? Right here. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com. Infant care specialist Blythe Lipman has worked with babies for over 20 years and works extensively with new parents, providing workshops, in-home visits, tips, and daily phone calls to ease those frazzled nerves. With Baby and Toddler Instructions, you can get the advice you need on how to survive and enjoy your baby's first year. For more information on Blythe and how she can help you, go to babyinstructions.com. From 32 ways to stop a baby from crying, to 14 ways to get a baby to eat, and so much more. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com.
It's words you never heard. Recently, while my family was skiing in Colorado, we were greeted by a red fox that darted out of the trees. This beautiful animal with his big bushy tail just stood in the snow and stared right at us. Maybe he smelled all the loverwort we had in our pockets. Loverwort is another word for junk and snack food. Typically, a red fox eats scrub and woodland, but this one appeared to have had his share of hamburgers and hot dogs from the Chalet Grill. Foxes are similar to dogs, except they are not pack animals. The female fox, or vixen, typically gives birth to a litter of 2 to 12 pups. When they are young, they all live together as a family, known as a leash of foxes. Once grown, the young foxes leave the burrow and go out to live on their own.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back with Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure. I'm Janet Demeter, your host, and we're brought to you in part by Jack's Angels Foundation for Pediatric Brain Tumor Awareness and Research and Advocacy for Children with Cancer on the web at jacksangels.org. And I'm here today talking with Brian Jones about the 2017 Run for the White House program, a grassroots program involving people from all over the country donating their running and workout miles in support of childhood cancer awareness. And the exciting development for that being that now MaxCure Foundation has taken it on as a program of its own in support. And we're also going to be speaking with, later in the segment, Jonathan Agan, who's the executive director. But Brian, he is the creator, of course, to our listeners, of the Run for the White House program. Brian, before the break, we were talking about the last couple of Cure Fests and the difference in attitudes and awareness. What have you noticed that's changed in the past couple of years?
Well, the first year I went there was the first time they were attempting to make this event very large. And I knew they were doing it, so I was kind of gearing up toward the run for the White House during the first Cure Fest, as they called it. So in 2013, after the event got going and we got quite a few people, I said, I think I will. I'll make that trip to Washington, D.C. And I go out there, and there's quite a pretty large group of people there. But nothing compared to years down the road here now. But I remember running with about 5 people then who had heard about the event and joined up, and here we all were at CureFest. And we basically just took a little run around the Washington area in 2013. So, as things went on the next year, and I got people excited about the second year of the event happening, there were even more people that had their eyes focused on what's going to happen here in 2014 and what's going to take place in D.C. And we really, really started pushing CureFest, and that's when that got a whole lot bigger. I multiplied like by 10 times.
Wow.
People and organizations that wanted to come, and, we were just saying, we're going to do our part and basically get people's attention toward the events that are going to happen in D.C. every September at CureFest. But we will be running for the White House, and you can run with us all year long, and for at least 9 months of the year, we'll be raising awareness by donating our miles.
It's fantastic. So, I know I just came in kind of later on the scene. The first one I went to was in 2014. My son passed away in 2012. And, even just in the past couple of years, there's been a significant amount of change. And in some ways, with attitudes with the administration and other things, not much change. I do have to say, though, that the National Cancer Institute Advocacy Office for Advocacy Relations, they have always been extremely welcoming. In the administration, I don't know what it's going to be like this next year. So advocates, let's all find out. Yeah. But the Office of Science and Technology Protocol was always very welcoming and communicative with the advocacy community, and it gave me great hope for the future. It just remains to be seen what happens. But at any rate, CureFest, just for all of you out there, some of you who are new to listening to the show, it's been a getting together of people in September, which was declared in 2010. I think that was the first year that President Obama declared a Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. But now we all kind of accept that that's what that is. And we show up, it's on the second weekend or third weekend?
Yeah, we'll be there the 16th and 17th this year. So right in the middle of September.
So this is the main event of the year, correct? For the running, the run for the White House.
Well,
right.
When you say main event, I really want to say that's what the online part of it is what I'm calling the main event. But when we go to Washington, D.C., that's what I'm calling the finale. In fact, I call it the front runner finale for these people that I've selected as my front runners to go along with the presidential theme in the Run for the White House event.
Excellent. Yeah, because folks, this is going on all year. It's happening now. You can go to Facebook and look up the Run for the White House, correct? For Childhood Cancer Awareness?
Run for the White House, Childhood Cancer Awareness Facebook page.
Like the page, ask to be part of the group, and you can donate your miles. And can you do this? You don't just have to run, right?
We've completely adapted it for all types of physical activity. So people found out right away. They said, I want to do something, but I'm not a runner. Can I do something else? Absolutely. We're not going to say no to that. Let's figure it out. We're going to make sure you're an advocate too, if that's what you want to be. So if you want to walk, run, bike, swim, any kind of physical activity basically translates from minutes into miles. So, 10 minutes might be a mile of activity, and then we, put that toward our 1,000,000-mile goal each year.
Right on. Well, just because I think it's so important, this new collaboration now with MaxCure Foundation, I'd like to introduce our friend Jonathan Agan, who is the executive director for the MaxCure Foundation at maxcurefoundation.org. and co-founder, member board of directors and general counsel emeritus of the Children's Cancer Therapy Development Institute in Beaverton, Oregon, right near you, Brian. And he was also one of the founding members of the DIPG Collaborative Steering Council. Jonathan became involved with the childhood cancer community following the diagnosis of his 2-year-old daughter, Alexis, with DIPG in April of 2008, passing away from that disease in January of 2011. And since then, Jonathan has become one of the United States' foremost childhood cancer advocates. He frequently interacts with members of Congress and the White House, regulatory agencies, and other cancer organizations to improve the prospects for children with cancer. An attorney by trade, Jonathan's legislative advocacy has proven effective in the passage of several bills in a climate of congressional stagnation, as we've all witnessed the past few years. And he continues to work closely with members of the community and beyond on legislative initiatives impacting the rare disease community. He also participates on the Patient Advocate Steering Committee at the National Cancer Institute and writes for the Cancer Knowledge Network of the Canadian Oncology Journal, and is a frequent contributor to the Huffington Post and presenter for the community healthcare network platform Brightbud. Jonathan, it's truly an honor to have you with us today on the show. I could keep going with more accolades, Welcome.
You can put anything you want in your bio sketch, and so I've done that. But it's good to be back on. I may need to take out the part about frequently interacting with members of Congress and the White House, depending on what happens in the next 4 years here. So
I think we can all do that, right, Jonathan? We have no idea what we have in store for us, so it remains to be seen.
Exactly.
So tell us about how you came to interact with Brian, and were you the key instigator in this, Jonathan?
So after I give you my 2 or 3 minute spiel here in terms of how Brian and I met and what brought Run for the White House into MaxCure, my part is pretty much done, as Brian and our marketing PR director for MaxCure Foundation, Erica Bailey's, have really run with this, and Brian's team. But essentially, I think I met Brian for the first time at the event put on by the Truth 365, the Roll for the Gold. Was that correct, Brian? Was that the first time we met?
No, you know what? I was going to say, I think I met you and Janet just about the same time in 2014. I want to say I walked right up to you and Tony Stoddard right at the White House when I arrived that night. And I actually saw Janet the same night. And I said, I can't believe this is happening. We're actually here doing something, and we're going to make something work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And from there, it has just grown exponentially as you guys went through in terms of CureFest. But so I was aware of Brian and his efforts with respect to Run for the White House, and just watched the multitude of Facebook posts and social media posts of people posting pictures of themselves after running and playing basketball and getting on their bike and swimming and walking, and watching what transpired last year and culminated in CureFest with everybody, quote unquote, donating their miles. It just, the light bulb went on for me as a runner and triathlete myself. I've been trying to create a platform that utilizes athletics and what I love to raise money for childhood cancer research and some of the other programs that we run at MaxCure Foundation. And as we were trying to push our peer-to-peer fundraising platform for this year, for the end of 2016 going into 2017, and engage more people, it just dawned on me, why not contact Brian? I had no idea whether or not he would be receptive and what the program ultimately would look like. But I knew that there was something there, and I knew that Brian had created this amazing grassroots base that is so loyal and posts their miles religiously to the tune of 1 million plus miles through the course of a year, that why not try and put some revenue behind that to fund research and transform the program into, really a self moving engine that can, continue to help push along the missions that we share. And so I shot him a message on Facebook, on Messenger. We scheduled the call, and next thing I know, here we are.
That's love
Great to
it.
be here.
So it was just an idea that sprung forth of trying to create a revenue stream for the organization and bring in more awareness and grassroots following for the mission. And Brian has that, and he has that organic base of people that, as one of the groups, follow me. Well, people follow him.
It's a gift.
So
we're going to take another really quick break, okay? We'll be right back with our guests from MaxCure Foundation and the Run for the White House after these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
It's words you never heard.
One evening in 1929, William Lear and Elmer Wavering of Quincy, Illinois, were out driving with their girlfriends. One of the girls suggested it would be even more romantic if they could listen to music. The guys liked the idea and started tinkering with installing a home radio in the car. They sold their idea to a radio manufacturing company and applied for a loan with a local banker to get production started. Thinking it might sweeten the deal, they installed one of their new radios in the banker's vehicle. Unfortunately, the banker's car caught on fire, and they didn't get the loan. They must have felt like Dunder Clumpins. Not giving up, they drove to a radio convention and sat outside in the car with the radio blasting. Soon orders were pouring in, and taking a cue from the Victrola, because their radio was going in a car, they called it the Motorola.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back again with Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where every child is a life, not a number, on TogiNet.com. And this show is brought to you in part by Jack's Angels, a 501c3 charitable organization dedicated to awareness and research for DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, and advocacy for children with cancer. Our guests today are here to tell us about a new program with the MaxCure Foundation called Run for the White House for Childhood Cancer Awareness. But first, we're going to have a bit of related advocacy news, both in important running events and the introduction of an awareness resolution that asks for greater consideration for children and the dying in our medical research system. In just a few days, okay, first, on the 23rd, it's slated. We don't know for sure. Anything could happen with the weather, with whatever little airplane they're using, but your very own Beth Ann Telford of Fairfax, Virginia, USA, is taking on the World Marathon Challenge, 7 continents, on 7 marathons in 7 days. She is running to hit the 1 million mark for her fundraising efforts with ABC Squared. Accelerate Brain Cancer Cure. See the last December 29th, 2016 podcast for full details. We had her on, and she's just about to take off. You can go to cctalkradio.org for our page, or look under shows at toginet.com. Antarctica, that's for January 23rd. And to follow Beth Ann and support her efforts, visit btwmc.org. That's BT, like Beth Ann Telford, or brain tumor, WMC.org. Or you can find it at abc2.org. Beth Ann is a survivor of a brain tumor. She's a pretty incredible lady, and she had to get her doctor's okay. Can you imagine? I mean, most runners would have a hard time getting a doctor's okay to go without a brain tumor. My goodness. But she's my hero. Another big announcement for January 2017 on Monday, January 30th. Okay, I'm going to DC for this. And I'm going to run through the streets because I met Brian, actually, who's on here, one of the first DIPG awareness runs I did in Washington. And, of course, it was just a couple of us, but it was wonderful. But on Monday, January 30th, the National DIPG Awareness Resolution will be introduced to the House of Representatives by Congressman Steve Knight of California's 25th District, co-sponsored by Jackie Spear of California's 14th District. And a side note is that Congresswoman Spear and Congressman Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania will be the 2017 co-chairs of the Congressional Caucus for Childhood Cancer. Why is this House resolution for DIPG so important for childhood cancer? DIPG exemplifies the plight of childhood cancer and the neglect of pediatric cancer research by our medical research system in a very poignant way. Diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma has seen no change in its terminal prognosis nor in its standard treatment protocol in over 50 years when Neil Armstrong's daughter died of it in 1962. Yet, DIPG is responsible for the majority of pediatric brain tumor deaths each year, which is the leading cause of death for children with cancer. Though not a large population yearly, it's hardly an irrelevant disease. The resolution does something that no other childhood cancer legislation does. It directly addresses the fact that less than 4% of the NCI budget is directed toward pediatric cancer research. And it asks for greater consideration of mortality rate and type of cancer, that is, and years of life lost in the research grant process with both the NCI and in the private sector. It also designates the 17th of May, Brain Tumor Awareness Month, to be National DIPG Awareness Day, supporting the collaborative effort of the DIPG Across the Map program of the Michael Moser Defeat DIPG Foundation for its 50 state proclamations that name May 17th as DIPG Awareness Day. That, of course, is their goal. I think they're almost to 40 states, I think. It's pretty amazing. So these are two programs that are really mutually supportive, honing in on that day, I'm sure with encouragement that we can get all our reps in Congress, or the majority anyway, hopefully, to sign it. You can learn more details about the program for state proclamations on our last podcast for January 12th, and also in support of the National DIPG Awareness Resolution is Jack's Angels Relay for Research, featuring the Relay for Jack, the virtual Relay for Jack, now open for registration at curedipg.info, which celebrates the resolution by asking participants to run between May 1st and May 17th to celebrate and support National DIPG Awareness Day. We'll have action days for calling and emails to be sent to members of Congress during the week of the 17th, of each month through May, asking those reps to sign the resolution that it can pass before then. Visit jacksangels.org advocacy pages for more information, as this will be updated frequently after February 1st. Similarly, to learn how you can help in your state with this proclamation, again, folks, those for DIPG, this is for all childhood cancers. That's defeatdipg.org. You can go there and you can get there, or that address, defeatdipg.org/DIPG across the map. You can find a way to join in the effort that way. Also, the Childhood Cancer STAR Act came so close last year to passing but did not, and will need your support this year, as well as the Race for Children Act. Visit cac2.org. I'm going to give you a list of email addresses. cac2.org. You can go to allianceforchildhoodcancer.org, kidsvcancer.org, childrenscause.org, any of those. And there are many more supportive childhood cancer organizations. For more information on the legislation that needs support and how you can help. And now I turn back to our wonderful guests joining us here. We're talking about this incredible grassroots program called Run for the White House, which I've actually had the honor to participate. Just, anybody can do it and join in and donate your miles or your workout miles. They can be translated. Brian Jones from Salem, Oregon, headed this project, and over the break we were talking, or Jonathan Agan, who's the executive director of MaxCure Foundation, which has adopted this program now, which is incredible. He was going, Brian, it's just like incredible that you could do this with a job and all these other things in your life and start this thing. And Brian started telling us how that happened. Would you mind beginning with that process again for me, Brian? Because it was so cool. You just started on your BlackBerry. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a little BlackBerry phone, with all the buttons, and it wasn't really even a smartphone. Smartphones were getting pretty hot at that time, but I was like, I have to count these miles because these people are donating them for childhood cancer. So I was still working in the construction field at that time, but I was transitioning into a sales office, which I'm finally at, and now I can do a whole lot more sitting at a desk with a smartphone too, by the way. Wow. A lot of things had to happen really quickly for me to keep up with the pace of the event that was actually happening with all the people joining. Yes, I did. That's amazing. Well, it's also a testament to the positive force that this new technology can be. I mean, I was just watching a show the other night where they were doing a skit kind of satirizing a number of things happening these days, but one of them was smartphones and the fact that so much less time is spent with family and other things because people just get so sucked into them. But really what you're doing is something so creative and so positive and engaging people in actually encouraging them to engage in fitness and bettering their lives to help better these children with cancer. You know what? And this year is going to be no different. We're going to keep doing that. But we have some big steps to take, and we're really excited because when Jonathan was saying he approached me about it, it was almost like he couldn't have come at a better time and come and ask me to be a part of what he was doing, and to set up this platform, which we could now do fundraising. Now, it was never really my intention in the beginning to get that far. But after 4 years, I thought, why not? Why not move into that arena and become one of those organizations that, we could actually start raising money for childhood cancer awareness. And we're just on the cutting edge again this year of doing something new and fresh and hopefully really exciting, because that's what we want people to know, is that there's all this that you've been doing the last 4 years. Now you can do this too. And this is where, what it's all led up to anyways, is we want to actually fund research. And here we go. Well, it's amazing because you've reached that critical mass of followers. So the time is absolutely ripe. It's when everybody can contribute. It doesn't have to be a big amount, but because we're all together, it's going to have a huge impact. That's the way to do it. It's perfect. Yeah. After what happened this year too, which really, really built up even to the point where we had 30 people instead of 5 like we had the first year, and we all run the Navy Half Marathon in Washington, D.C. together. I mean, it was just a huge, huge finale for the event. And, how do we top that? We go into fundraising. We take it to the next level, the next step. And it's going to be sort of new again, and there's going to be some growth that needs to take place. But I think there's plenty of energy, and that energy is going to spread around, like wildfire. And we hope that, by the time September comes around, we will be absolutely surprised at how much money we've raised. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So tell us a little bit about the actual program, how people register and all that. Yes, I definitely want to get into that more. I can tell you can actually start by going to the Facebook page, Run for the White House for Childhood Cancer Awareness. As a lot of pages have now, there's a sign-up button. If you hit that sign-up button, you're going to find the MaxCure write-up that they've done for that, and that's kind of the gateway to get into the program.
and kind of hear about what it's all about. I'd definitely like to get into some more of the details here in a few minutes, but let's start there.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy. It's easy to do. I want to check out the new write-up. I haven't seen it. I just went to MaxCure's website so that I was adequately familiar with them before coming on today. And so I'm just assuming that they learn a little bit about MaxCure and what they're about and what the collaboration means. Is that what people learn when they go there?
Yeah, definitely. How we're going to join together using the nonprofit status that they have nationally recognized and say, here we are teaming up together to take the next steps.
Perfect. You're listening to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure on TogiNet.com, brought to you in part by Jack's Angels Foundation for Pediatric Brain Tumor Awareness, Research, and Advocacy for Children with Cancer. We'll be right back with our guests from MaxCure Foundation and the Run for the White House after these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
Congratulations on being the proud owner of an adorable, soft, cuddly, sweet-smelling, smiling, cooing, hungry, tired, gassy, screaming little bundle of joy. So now what? Where's the owner's manual for this thing? Where are my instructions? Right here. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com. Infant care specialist Blythe Lipman has worked with babies for over 20 years and works extensively with new parents, providing workshops, in-home visits, tips, and daily phone calls to ease those frazzled nerves. With Baby and Toddler Instructions, you can get the advice you need on how to survive and enjoy your baby's first year. For more information on Blythe and how she can help you, go to babyinstructions.com. From 32 ways to stop a baby from crying to 14 ways to get a baby to eat and so much more. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com.
It's words you never heard.
Recently, while my family was skiing in Colorado, we were greeted by a red fox that darted out of the trees. This beautiful animal with his big bushy tail just stood in the snow and stared right at us. Maybe he smelled all the liverwort we had in our pockets. Liverwort is another word for junk and snack food. Typically, a red fox eats scrub and woodland, but this one appeared to have had his share of hamburgers and hot dogs from the Chalet Grill. Foxes are similar to dogs, except they are not pack animals. The female fox, or vixen, typically gives birth to a litter of 2 to 12 pups. When they are young, they all live together as a family, known as a leash of foxes. Once grown, the young foxes leave the burrow and go out to live on their own.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back with Childhood Cancer Talk Radio. I'm so fortunate today. We have Jonathan Agan from MaxCure and Brian Jones with the 2017 Run for the White House program. And this is a grassroots program involving people from all over the country. It's been just solely separate for the last few years, a grassroots growing free sort of, no money exchange. It's just donating miles, encouraging fitness. And now it's being adopted by MaxCure, which is one of the foremost childhood cancer organizations in our country. It's a 501c3 charity that raises funds for research for childhood cancer. They also have an advocacy program. Just an amazing organization. Maybe Jonathan, you could tell us a little bit more about MaxCure and its idea and vision for adopting the Run for the White House program.
Yeah, sure. So, one of the things that I wanted to ensure was that we maintain the grassroots feel of what Brian has done, and that people who participate don't feel like they're going to get shut out of being able to do what they were doing before and forced into fundraising. That certainly wasn't my intention. But with that said, looking at what Brian had been able to accomplish and has been able to accomplish, and all the people that have come together to donate miles, the programs that we have at the MaxCure Foundation, I've been trying to expand since I came on board as the executive director, and that includes the area of research. Traditionally, we've been funding the immune cell therapy laboratory at Sloan Kettering, with the exception of a couple of small grants here and there. But the focus has been on creating more effective, less toxic therapies and moving into immunotherapies. And Sloan Kettering has been doing some pretty significant work there. So with that said, having the ability to bring more people into the program, and the vision was to create Run for the White House as a program to help generate more awareness of childhood cancer in general through Brian's activities, as well as focus on the research component. And Brian has a significant interest in the research as well. It just opens up avenues for us to expand the purview of the research that we fund, and whether that's within Sloan Kettering and the various laboratories that exist there, or in other settings. This gives us the opportunity to really expand our focus and expand the research mission overall.
Yeah, expand your reach as well. Yeah,
no, absolutely. It's foundations that have been able to transcend a small beginning have done so by bringing in large segments of the population through very attainable methods. If you look at some of the largest childhood cancer organizations, they started out with very simple plans and simple programs. The two that come to mind are Alex's Lemonade and St. Baldrick's, and their foundation is upon a reachable peer-to-peer fundraising platforms that most people can engage in, and it took. So bringing in programs like Run for the White House allows us to hit so many more bases, and also in working with Brian and talking to him, it really allows him to hopefully move forward in a passion of running and childhood cancer, and working together, which is a great thing, I think.
Well, yeah, guys, I think this is the year. This is really the year that, it's been growing, but this is the year of activism, and us runner activists. This is time. It's time for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to your couple shows before we got on today about all the other runners you've had on there.
Yeah. Well, Beth Ann, I came to learn about what she was doing through Max Wallace at ABC Squared, because I'd been planning some running events. I ran too much over the summer, by the way, and had to take a hiatus from and I'm realizing I've been going to the gym. I can contribute my gym miles. I hadn't even been thinking about that. I just thought, I can't donate miles.
Absolutely.
You sure can.
But anyway, yeah, it's time. I think the time is ripe in general, not just with childhood cancer, but with so many different things. People are speaking out and getting more involved in their government and having a voice and interacting. And I think that this couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah, I agree. And doing it in a way that is very, very simple and very easy for people to participate in. What is easier than putting one foot in front of the other, or, getting on your bike and riding and logging the miles. And it has the great benefit of encouraging people to get active and encouraging your kids to get active. And, it's a win-win.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've seen some of the other, benefits of the whole idea. And there was a man who lost several hundred pounds and was overcoming addictions. And it's because he was putting his heart and soul into the idea that he was helping children with cancer just by raising awareness.
Right. That's why I started running.
It's cathartic. The art of putting one foot in front of the other is really cathartic for people that have experienced the amount of trauma that we have in dealing with a child diagnosed with cancer. I started running marathons back in 2001 because I just wanted to tick it off of a to-do list. And then my only sibling, my older sister, was killed in a car accident in 2002. And the day after she died, I strapped on my shoes and went out for a short run. I have no idea whether I ran 100 yards or 100 miles, but the cathartic nature of doing it really helped. And then with Alexis, being able to do this and focus and throw in a little margin of competitiveness, I'm so excited to be able to have this within MaxCure and work together with Brian.
Well, you're going to help other runners too, and other programs get more attention and support. Everyone together. I just think it's wonderful because this isn't an exclusive program. Like, I have something going on, but I'm always going to do the Run for the White House, right?
Right. Yeah.
Tell us about the super teams and the inspired teams.
Yes, I was hoping you'd ask that because that is definitely one of the big things this year. After we got 30 people to run the Navy Half Marathon last year in the front runner finale, and we also did the virtual event, we had the 4 team names put on the medal. So we've transformed those team names into what we're calling our super teams. And they are on the MaxCure Foundation website. They're actually listed under events. So it's kind of like the super team is the host of the event. So when you join the super team, you can join the super team and you can be a part of that team. You can fundraise if you want to. But you also have the addition of creating your own inspired team. And my inspired team would be, of course, named after my son. So I've always used the hashtag running for Lincoln as my super team. And I'm happy to have people join either my super team or my inspired team, which will, as the event grows and people raise money or buy shirts, it'll go under the super team altogether. So you're going to kind of filter through one of these 4 super teams, but it's definitely wide open for you to create your own team and then gain your own followers and supporters of the child that you want to, that you're inspired by on your quote inspired team.
Nice. I loved seeing that too on the Facebook site. Before the two merged, it was just a really nice thing to see people supporting one another and their experience.
Yeah, definitely. And here's another way we can just keep community going in what we're all after here, which is the cure.
And so, when does the event begin, and where does it end?
It kind of begins at the beginning of the year. First day of each year, we say this is our new year, our new event, and we go until September, which is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and of course Cure Fest, which is where we end up there. So that's the time frame that we want to count the miles that are donated and shoot for 1 million miles each year. But now, we have the added support of MaxCure and the option to join a super team and create an inspired team and just build that end of things too, to do what we ultimately need to do, which is raise funds and cure childhood cancer.
Definitely. So Jonathan, how do you see this progressing this year? Are you going to be doing a lot of running?
I'm trying to. I'm
going to try to get you to come out on the 30th.
As soon as you let me know the details, I will try and block it off, and I'll be there. I need to get myself back moving. Each year I try and set different goals, and last year my main goal was to try and do an Ironman, and that fell short in a very jam-packed year that I don't know what I was thinking. So I put that on hold for a couple of years. Brian and I may do a little running in August in a little relay out in Oregon. So that's on the calendar. But
well, let us all know about it. That's for sure, Brian.
All right. As soon as something comes up and it's related to running, I'll let you know.
Great. So, oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming today. I'm not quite sure. I think we have a little bit of time left, but I just want to make sure that we covered everything. Let's give the website for people to go to for the program. I'm assuming it's at MaxCureFoundation.org and then /follow me. Is that it?
That'll get you there. That's the gateway.
Excellent.
And if you have any questions in terms of signing up or how it works, definitely you can find Brian and myself all over the place. Send us an email, reach out to us, and we'll answer the question. I think that Brian and Erica Bailey, our marketing and PR director, have spent a lot of time trying to get this running.
On Facebook, everyone, run for the White House.
We hope you have found inspiration from today's show. For more about Janet Demeter and her mission, visit jacksangels.org. As founder and president, Janet strives to assure that children with cancer and their parents have a voice, raising